come through, and it came through in writing the book, but it's come through now in projects that we're doing in reality, is how do we work together? How do we uplift everybody involved in a business or a project or an organization? How do we go back to almost emulating nature and coming back to like an ecosystem where everything is flourishing, whether it's in decay or whether it's in growth, whatever is happening, everything is uplifting everything else, and so that's a shift in everything. We have to question everything that we do, because been led into a paradigm where it's I, me. I want to make as much as I can, as quickly as I can, at the expense of others. We're clawing up over the shoulders and heads of everybody around us, trying to push other people down to get ahead. And that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So,
Right. Welcome, everybody, to our latest knowledge transfer session. This is, I believe, number 8. I think I've got that right. And this time we have obviously the beautiful Billy. We've always got beautiful Billy, thank God. We've also got Tim and Elise from Source 88. So we've got some really amazing stuff coming up today. Uh, Sound healing mostly, and all of the other things that Tim and Elise are involved with. I'm pretty obsessed with sound frequencies and sound healing because I just know how effective it is. And this is something that I teach in my course, my psychic development course as well, because you can use sage, but it smells, and people might think it's something else. There's all these other things that you can do. You can get holy water and bless it and all that sort of stuff. But sound frequencies, they don't make anything wet, they don't make anything smell bad, and you don't have a fire potential. Sound healing is incredibly powerful, and you can take it anywhere with you. So all you need is a crystal bowl or a tuning fork or a drum or whatever it is that works for you. So what I might do to start off with is I might just share screen and show the website. Okay, all right. So here's the website. Now, Tim and Elise, you've also got socials, haven't you? Did you want to sort of just speak out your socials that people can find you on as well?
Yeah, so Instagram is source.88 and Facebook is just source88. They're
Excellent.
our main ones that we use. And we do have YouTube. So if you want to actually listen to some sound frequencies and meditations and breathwork sessions, we have started trying to upload more on our YouTube as well.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's really cool. Okay. So I've seen these guys in action at Cosmic Consciousness Conference last year, 2024, which was amazing. So they certainly know what they're talking about. And I will show, I just want to go to Tim's book. So if you want to access, obviously, what looks like a fascinating book. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your book, Tim?
well, interestingly enough, the book was not at all planned, not logically by me. But we moved to the Blue Mountains in 2020. We were divinely guided there. No doubt onto the beautiful ley lines up there, I would imagine. And while the whole C word thing was happening, we were up there doing a lot of healing work, and I was doing a lot of breath work in hot baths with frankincense oil and magnesium, and I basically channeled all of these messages from spirit.
Wow.
I'd never channeled like that before, and I haven't channeled like it since. And I had all of this channeled information in audios that carried on from each other. And I was like, I didn't even understand what this is about. I wasn't even sure. Most of it I couldn't remember. It was literally just divine stream of consciousness, plugging in, downloading, moving on next. And so I transcribed it in 2021 and was like these creepy audios with me just speaking what was coming through while I was lying in a hot bath.
Oh,
Strange, strange times. But it formed a series of channels that was talking about the time from 2020 and beyond, this time that we're in now.
wow.
And it guided me through all of these words that made no sense to me at the time about this time, which is essentially kind of like the middle of the infinity sign, like, the old paradigm, and we're going through this squeeze point to move through to the new paradigm. But what spirit told me that was called was the forgetting. So we're going through this time called the forgetting, and you saw it happen. People just forgot common sense. They forgot about civil rights and freedoms, and they forgot like all of just from just that, let alone they were forgetting their own divine magnificence, and they were getting trapped in fear and really trapped in like all of this kind of heavy, dark energy. But the forgetting is this necessary cosmic process that we have to go through in order to come through the other side to remember. And the great remembering is on the side of the great forgetting. But it also, the downside is that there's will be a lot of people that pass at this time who aren't able to transmute and transcend the fear programs and aspects. So, it's like a very intense kind of time to be alive. And it's like this, you really do see the two timelines kind of playing out, right? The two opportunities of like you could go left or you can go right. You can kind of go back into the matrix, or you can find and heal yourself and come into yourself. So it's really a book about what's happening, what you can do about it, but more importantly, what's on the other side? What is this great remembering? What's possible for us? What are we being guided back to? And then what can we do with that? Because that's divine purpose. That's just coming back to the divine truth and divine purpose. So I'm reading it myself right now because it's a book actually I wrote for myself. Spirit gave to me. And then I put it out there for other people who might like to get some of the same information I need to be reminded of constantly.
I love it, and I love the fact that you said there's solutions in there. Like, what can we do? That helps a lot. I mean, this is the thing. We're going through this incredible process at the moment. We're also, numerologically, we're in a 9 year, and we're in that sort of crescendo period at the end of the 9 year. We've also had this week full moon. That's a really intense one. Apparently,
Yeah.
it's eclipse season. I don't really follow astrology, but my friends say it's eclipse season. So, okay. And also the Schumann resonance, that Earth's ambient frequency has been going, it's peaking. There are a lot of psychics who are predicting that this first week in October, or the first, half of October, was going to be really intense as well. So, yeah, it's quite amazing, isn't it? We're in such a, I don't know, melting pot of time, or just a crescendo. I'm going to say crescendo. So I love the way that you described it's like that center point of the infinity symbol. I've also been shown that multiple times
Mm.
in just recent times, that's what we're going through. So that's really lovely that you're seeing the same. I just want to also share, you guys are also presenting obviously at Cosmic Consciousness this year, this time at Mount Tambourine. I'm also speaking again. We've also got some other beautiful people. We've got Judy. We've got, gosh, there's a whole bunch of you. Dale's going to be there this time. Yeah. I'm sure that will be amazing. There you go. So it's going to be a really, really beautiful. I think it's actually going to be probably more amazing than Uluru. I loved Uluru last year, but I felt like I was trespassing. I cannot explain. The trees there are all conscious, and I felt like they were not happy with me being there. And I don't think it was just me. I think it was just, we were in a really sacred space. So in a way, I'm quite sort of relieved that we're going to be somewhere different. I think Mount Tambourine in Queensland's much easier to get to. So I think it's going to be amazing. So again, obviously some really, really cool people. And it's just such a beautiful community. Obviously, you guys have been doing this for ages. I've only been there once, I've been part of it once. So you guys actually met during the conference?
Yeah, so back in back in 2018, we'll go there because it's important. We were both going through big turning points in our lives. So for me, I'd been in a mental health hospital for anxiety, depression. I didn't want to live anymore. Things had got to an all-time low. And Tim,
Yeah, I had been through a breakdown of a 15-year relationship
Wow.
and just kind of came out the other side going, oh, well, if I don't change myself and what I'm doing, I'm going to be in exactly the same position at 60 as I am at 48. And just had this huge, huge turning point. Gave up drinking, gave up all drugs, gave up coffee, gave up everything. And I tell you, when you do that, everything changes. And
Yeah.
I went to a huge spiritual awakening and questioned everything. And yeah, so many signs came. Like once I let go of all of the low vibrational things, and literally I read a book that said, you need to change your vibration. I'm like, I need to change my vibration. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'm just going to know what he's talking about, right? And I looked at the list of things that are low vibration. I'm like, wow, that's pretty much in my whole life. So what do I need to do that I'm not doing now? Oh, meditate. Go and be around like-minded people, go into nature, sacred spaces, like work on the internal healing, shadow work. So
Mm.
there was this huge turning point for me, and very quickly, signs and synchronicities just went off the charts. Just was like animals, numbers, like people saying, "Hey, have you done this? Have you gone here? Have you ever heard of this?" Like if I heard something three times in short succession, I'd just go, wouldn't even know what it was. I'm there, and then I'd be like, "Whoa, mind blown!" All the next kind of signs and breadcrumbs are laid out, and that's kind of what led me to Uluru.
Yeah, so we actually collided at the airport. That was our first
Oh,
meeting, was actually in Uluru. So when I got out of the hospital, I spent, it was very spiritual focus, which was amazing. I don't think you find that easily these days. I was very grateful, but they got us meditating every single day, which is something I wasn't doing. And so that meditation really supported me to start trusting my intuition, which was something I didn't understand back then. And so I started feeling these drawings that I needed to go to this conference. And it was just a random email that I had received in my inbox. At the time, I had a client. I was a personal trainer. I had a client, Synchronicity. His name was Tim, and he basically, long story short, I prayed to my higher power one night, and to Source, and I said, if I'm meant to go to this conference, then help me. And I went to work the next day, and he said, Elise, when are you going to Uluru? You've been talking about it for weeks. And I said, oh, I'm not going. I can't afford it. He's like, don't be ridiculous. I'm giving you $1,000 for your Christmas present. And that was just huge for me. It was a first lesson in receiving something that felt
wow.
really big. That was the first lesson, and growth. So I received a check. It was amazing. I went home, I booked everything. Funnily enough, I booked it on the date that I now understand is actually Tim's son's birthday, the 20th of December. That's when I booked my ticket. I paid $1,111.
Oh,
And oh yeah, Tim paid $888.
Yeah.
oh,
So we were at opposite sides of the scale. I got final release, he got first release.
oh.
Um, and then we met on the 11th of the first, so 111. And then I remember seeing him at the airport, and we've talked about it so many times. There was this now an understanding of a soul recognition. So when we had eye contact, there was something different. I remember thinking, he he's all right, but he's not my type. Um, that was yeah. Anyway, and so we ended up getting on the same bus. We
I
had
thought the same thing, by the way.
we ended up getting on the same bus, and I check noted that, and then we got off the at the same hotel called the Lost Camel, which was quite fitting for where we were in our lives at that point. And we were standing in the line at the Lost Camel, and we talk about this. We have different versions, but basically, Tim's version is I walked up to him and said, are you going to the Cosmic Consciousness Conference? I thought I asked for his name first, but apparently not. So, and then he said, yeah, I am. Are you? And I said, yeah, I am. Have you got any idea what it's about? He's like, I got no fucking idea. And I said, me either. I just know I'm supposed to be here. Um, and to be honest with you, I started feeling, a little bit giddy, a little bit like, wow, this is why I'm meant to be here. I'm meant to meet my person. And by the way, I'd pulled a twin flame card, an oracle card, a week beforehand, and wrote a letter to the guides of my twin flames saying, please align us in divine ways for this beautiful, romantic, spiritual relationship that it's not. But anyway, and so yeah, we got to there, and then we exchanged numbers and said we'd go for lunch. We exchanged numbers at 1:11 in the afternoon.
Oh,
We met up for lunch. I was feeling quite excited, and like there was stuff going on. Tim was talking about past lives, and I hadn't heard of past lives then in 2019.
oh,
But
wow.
everything he spoke just felt like truth to me. Anyway, he gets a call, he's on the phone, and then he gets off the phone, and I think I said, who was that? And he said, oh, that was my son. So I started questioning, and then I thought, okay, a son, how old is he? And he said, oh, he's 10. So at the time, I thought Tim was about 35. I was 28. And I said, so he was 10. I said, how old are you? And he said, well, I'm 48. And
Oh my
in
gosh, you can't
that
believe. Wow.
moment,
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Wow.
yeah, yeah, it was bigger than that too. My reaction was bigger than that. But in that moment, it was everything changed. I thought he was my future husband, but in an instant, I felt shame, I felt guilt, I felt embarrassed, I felt confused, because all my defenses and my ego came up. So it was a good 4 months before we were officially as a couple. We were just very good friends before that. So we have a 21-year age gap, but Uluru brought us together and it's been a big part. And then we became good friends with Catherine and Mick and have returned every time they've done it since. So
I
we
would
do
never have picked that. That is uncanny. What the hell are you doing, Tim?
sound
I
healing.
can tell you for the first 48 years it wasn't clean living.
Oh,
Um,
God.
so, immaturity, I'm not sure.
Soul contract.
Genetics,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd say so. Good grief.
Sound healing, it's sound healing.
Well, it must be sound healing. Okay, that's a great segue.
Mm.
Maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, I think uh, when we met in Uluru, I was a shop fitter and Elise was a personal trainer. So this is January 2019. Did a breathwork session on the beach with Elise at Freshwater Beach in the Northern Beaches on February the 7th. It was the first time I'd ever heard of breathwork or done breathwork. Had the most psychedelic experience, one of the most psychedelic experience I've ever had in my whole life. And interesting, I heard somebody describing something very similar the other day that they had as a spontaneous occurrence in a Qigong session when a podcast we were listening. But I felt completely connected to everything, the entire earth, the entire cosmos. It was like this pure connection, the connection to everything. And then I had this vision of the reality, the truth, the multidimensional truth of the human versus the soul relationship, and how the soul is online with us as a human being all of the time, 100% of the time. And we just have these flickerings of the soul that's there constantly as a part of us and with us and guiding us. In a fractal, like multi-dimensional, I couldn't even describe it in words. It's beyond that. And so, like, to cut a long story short, it was this amazing situation that opened up a well of guilt and shame within me. I ended up with shingles that was the worst shingles I've ever seen. I had blisters all over the top of my body, all up my neck, all down my arm, red, raw blisters everywhere. And it was guilt and shame that I'd been storing from my life, from the lying and the cheating and the betrayal and everything that I'd done.
Wow.
And I had to sit in that discomfort. It was the greatest blessing, but it was terrible. And I just knew, when people talk about, I just knew that that's what I'm here to do. And I just knew that I'm here to work with sound and to work and to do breath work and to be a sound healer. I just knew it. And I didn't know why. I just knew if that's my purpose. And so the universe just started to unravel the breadcrumbs and light the path before both of us. And so the guy whose breathwork session we had listened to on this little speaker on the beach called Matt Omo, he released a mentorship program 3 months after that. And I just knew that that's where I needed to be. It was a 6-month program. And so I spent 6 months with him learning breath work and sound healing. And since that time, we came out of that as basically doing breath work, 2-hour events. Um, and like being twin flames, everything is just extrapolated super crazily quickly. Now, like that's what, 6 years ago. Now we're training breathwork and sound healing facilitators. We've started our own crystal ball training workshops. Now we're training facilitators to train our workshops. So we're creating a collective of like-minded facilitators to take sound healing across Australia and selling crystal balls to practitioners and yoga teachers and Reiki masters and people who use that. We're obviously doing our own events. We love doing breath work. We love playing the crystal bowls. And we do all sorts of different healing trainings. Elise's got an amazing inner child healing program. She did a Remember Who You Are 6-month program for women to connect into their divine purpose. So it's just extrapolated really very quickly. And I think because we have dedicated everything in our energy, body, and soul to this mission for the rest of our days. So the twin flame energy is very potent and very strong, and the desire for ascension is constant. It's like we are constantly on our own healing journey, constantly looking within, constantly facing each other and the reflection of the shadow in each other and working through that. And, we just let spirit show us the next joyful opportunity, just like talking to you here right now.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, well, we so appreciate you coming on 100%. So I know in some of the emails that we've been sharing backwards and forwards, you mentioned something about a new earth template, or that you want to be creating this, or you believe you have a part to play in the new earth that we're all creating together. Did you want to, is that basically what you were just describing there, the fact that you're training up these facilitators, or is there anything else added on to that?
Sorry to talk again.
Well, yeah, can I just do the first part?
Please, yeah.
I feel like there's two parts, and this is the gift that I think what we share in Source 88 is that there is, I don't know if you want to call it like, there's the feminine, there's the masculine maybe, and everything that intertwines. So I feel like for me, and what I love supporting people with for the New Earth template is actually that I don't believe that the New Earth is a physical place that we get on a plane and we go to and we ascend, I'm sure you're the same. So I believe that it starts from within. And so we create the new earth by being who we are and being the highest version of ourselves, which is why the work is so important to us on a personal level. So I feel like for the new earth template that I will speak to would be around really supporting people to activate, to remember the truth of who they really are, to be able to peel back those layers of conditioning, of trauma, of intergenerational pain, past lives, and to be able to come closer and closer back to the core essence of who we are, which is love. And that's what we want here on earth is love. Nobody wants people to suffer. We don't want war. We don't want that fear. We want freedom and liberation, but that has to come from within. And then we know that that reflects in our external environment. So part of the mission that I feel for the New Earth template is supporting people to do that work here. And that's a huge passion of mine on the grander scale. So that's 50%.
Yeah, I think the other thing that has really come through, and it came through in writing the book, but it's come through now in projects that we're doing in reality, is how do we work together? How do we uplift everybody involved in a business or a project or an organization? How do we go back to almost emulating nature and coming back to like an ecosystem where everything is flourishing, whether it's in decay or whether it's in growth, whatever is happening, everything is uplifting everything else. And so that's a shift in everything. We have to question everything that we do, because we've been led into a paradigm where it's I, me. I want to make as much as I can, as quickly as I can, at the expense of others. We're clawing up over the shoulders and heads of everybody around us, trying to push other people down to get ahead. And that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, it's really the New Earth template to me is like, how do we bring in agreements and templates where people can shine and come in and uplift something, and everybody gets to benefit from everybody benefiting and doing what they love. So it really is something that we're endeavoring to do with our facilitator training program, where we're training people how to run crystal training workshops. So we sell them bowls as cheaply as we can make them, and as much margin as possible. Then we train them how to run the workshops. We want them to go out there and we want them to make money from doing this, but they're going and they're seeding the sound healers of the future. If it was just us, we could only see so many people. We've got 12 facilitators. So now there's 14 of us out there touching people, and they are all on their own resonant and vibrational path. They're going to touch people that we would probably never ever connect with. So we're winning because we're selling crystal bowls. They're winning because they're selling crystal bowls. They're training, they're touching people's lives. The facilitators, the practitioners are winning because they've now got a new avenue and offering in their business. The people who are coming to feel the sounds and vibrations are winning because they're approaching healing and relaxation. And all of a sudden, here's this like win-win-win-win-win situation.
Mm.
And it's difficult to navigate, right? Because, there is still a desire to want to try and take as much as you possibly can. Like I've had to push up against that many times in this process and go, what is truly fair? What is actually fair? Is what I'm doing fair, or is it loaded to me? Or is it loaded too far the other way sometimes? So the New Earth template is about community, communication, integrity, creativity, and transcending ego, at least being able to communicate and face it when it comes, because it's always going to be there.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because on a soul level, the vast majority of people on a soul level are selfless. And we all know each other on the other side, and we're trying to do our best, but we come down here for this duality experience where we can go dark if we're not careful. And
Yeah,
the ego does get in the way. And that's the physical experience is the ego. So it's a very interesting thing to do, the fact that, souls would even come into a physical experience. But I guess, we learn so much from it. That's the other thing.
totally.
You look like you've got a question on your lips, Billy.
I was just going through my questions. I was just wanting to ask, for those of people who are not familiar with sound healing, like how it can help with you, like with illnesses, trauma, blockages, anything like that, and just like the different frequencies, if you can talk into that as well.
Yeah. Big question. Yeah, we'll do our best to not talk for an hour, but I'll yeah, just to like touch on parts of it. So everything is energy. I'm sure we all agree. Um, Emotion is energy in motion until we stop it and we block it and we hold it within the physical body somewhere or in the energetic body. And then as that energy starts to build up and build up because it's not being allowed to just flow and move through us, like you watch a child and their emotions, if they're allowed to, will just flow. They don't care if they're in a shopping center. They will let you know if they feel upset that they can't have the chocolate bar. So as adults, where do we get to that point where we feel something and we go, well, I'm going to hold on to that and I'm going to stop it so that it doesn't come up and express itself. And then over time, as we continue to learn to stop it and block it, that energy becomes a physical manifestation. So within the body, that creates dis-ease, which is an interesting word that we've chosen for that. It's not within balance. There's a dis-ease about it. And so the beauty of the sound and the vibrations is that, I mean, I did a lot of talk therapy for a few years, and that got me so far. And then I felt like I was in a cycle. With sound healing and the frequency healing, I feel like it's able to actually go so many more layers deeper than talk therapy, because the sound and the vibration has the ability to actually shift and break up that blocked energy trapped within the body so that it can move again, which is why so often through sound healing that people feel emotional. They may feel sadness, they may feel anger, they may feel guilt or shame or confusion. And I always say that that's just such an incredible sign that you're feeling, because so many of us have been conditioned through trauma, through our families, through society to not feel. And so sound has this incredible ability to move that blocked energy for it to become energy in motion again. So if you look at that on the big scale of disease and illness, when we personally have things come up as illness or disease or pain within the body, ever since we met now, really, we've been really working on healing ourselves. The only time I've been to a doctor since we've met is when I before when I fell pregnant with Isabel, and I just needed to get a certificate to have a home birth. But
Wow.
we really don't go now externally to general practitioners in that medical field because we haven't needed to. We've been using sound, we've been using meditation, we've been using breath work and healing sessions ourselves and for each other to actually support those energetic blockages when they come up before they manifest into something that requires an emergency attention. So,
That is a fantastic explanation because I
okay, good. I was
wondered
like,
how does it
yeah.
work, and that's perfect. And that also explains why sound frequencies help to unblock and clear and balance ley lines.
Mm,
Areas that have these blockages that are energetic, and a lot of that can be human emotion that's expressed in those spaces, or
mhm,
black magic or whatever is used in those spaces, or it could just be eons of massacres or anything like that that might create a negative frequency in that space. And when you bring in the right frequency, it releases.
mm,
We were
wow.
talking about this off camera, but obviously my obsession being ley lines and this being about lay love down. Um, but we bring in people from all walks of life because we want a whole gamut of information, and the healing aspect of sound just needs to be out there. What I learnt from Kelly and Dr. Joe recently in one of our knowledge transfer sessions is that when people mismanage and control the ley lines, they actually send them in a negative frequency. They go into an anti-clockwise direction. And once I learned that, it was like, oh, fantastic. So what you've just said there about releasing the energy from the body is just as important
Mm,
because we are frequency. And we
Yeah.
do repress. That's what unfortunately society does,
mhm,
particularly when we've got this right-brained, everybody's going to be right-handed, right-brained, everything's got to be about logic and replicable studies and all this rubbish. No intuition allowed. And so everything just gets repressed, 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 and that's when you get sick.
yeah.
So I know, Billy, I'm just going to extrapolate on what you were saying because there are ways that you can heal from things. Obviously you need other protocols, but there's been things that have been happening to the whole world in the arm that is causing so much dis-ease.
Mm.
So have you found that in any of your circles that people are having any success with sound frequency or healing frequencies with regards to those individuals who've had this intervention? Just out of curiosity, I know it's a big,
Mm.
a
I
big
think
ask.
it's a really good question, and I think the first challenge that people have before any protocol or anything will actually be allowed into their consciousness is to actually admit that, hey, there's something that I should be looking at here,
Yeah.
Mm.
right? And I think what we've seen is an epidemic of guilt and shame, which is kind of fronted as almost as like obliviousness or righteousness, because people aren't able to say, we actually really got that really wrong. And really shouldn't have done that. And it's kind of like a little bit of sticking their head in the sand. The
Yeah.
first step is to say, hey, you know, and I've had some difficult conversations with people in my family and said, you know, no judgment, you did that, but like you've had all this health stuff going on. Um, I suggest that you go and see somebody who can help give you guidance through this from a detox, and some people have listened and done that and had
Mm.
good effects. So I think first things first, are they willing to step into the responsibility of there's always a choice? That's the first point.
Mm.
Before anything sound or natural anything or anything could do anything for anybody.
Mm.
Then I think beyond that, it seems like some people who went down that path and had that experience, some have quite good health, and other people have really, really, really struggled.
Mm.
And some people are taking better care of themselves, and other people are just carrying on business as usual. So I can't say we've done a study on it, and we've like really kept close notes on, most of the people we know didn't do that. Um, but I would say that there's absolutely, if they're using sound regularly, it would definitely be making a difference.
Hmm. Yeah.
I think just for us, like
Can't do any harm, that's for sure.
they say to you, like at my age now, I'm 55, right? At 55, you go see a doctor, he's going to scare you about all sorts of stuff that you should be doing, right? Like I haven't seen a doctor for 5 or 6 years, right? And I've had probably the best health, some of the best health of my life. I've always been pretty healthy, but like I'm just as healthy now as I've ever been. Um, of course, I don't drink. I'm probably healthier than I've ever been, but you know what I mean? So it's like it is really epigenetical as well. Like there's this, it really is that kind of where you pour your intention and the habits that you make for yourself. If you're willing to do your healing work, you're probably going to cut down or stop drinking. You're
Mm.
probably going to get better care of your body. You're probably going to start hanging around different people. You're probably going to think and act differently, go to different places, engage in different work and spiritual elements, and you will, yeah, your health will transform as you transform. So I think we see a lot of people who are really unhealthy and really struggling in our own families,
And generally,
really badly.
what we've discussed is they are the people that are not willing at all to look at any reflection in the mirror. It's really just continuing old patterns that are harmful and to themselves and other people without any form of responsibility, still stuck in that old world of blaming, shaming, judgment, and not and lack of self-responsibility, which goes back to, I guess, what Tim was saying is number one. So I've seen that it really seems to be people having severe physical health issues are seemingly people that are, in my experience, somewhat not looking at their shadow stuff, not looking at their shadow work, not allowing the emotion to be present and to move through them. That's why exactly how I explained it. I see that that's why their bodies are failing them because they've got so much trapped, blocked energy that really is just asking for their attention for healing, to be able to transmute that and bring more light into the body, activate the light body.
Yeah, and it seems to be I base a lot of the work that I do psychically on aura frequency, and I've just seen this massive ascension with people going through this soul frequency upgrades, and it seems to me like it's just like everybody's in a rush to get to the highest frequency they can. And it does make me wonder if, that the timelines are shifting, or, it gets very confusing when you talk about different timelines, but it does seem that some people are creating a new earth. We're energetically, intentionally creating this, getting away from the fear porn, whilst others are just more steeped in the fear porn than ever, and in the self-sacrifice and the self-abuse, which is all the substance abuse and things, which is obviously almost always related to some sort of trauma, often childhood trauma.
Yeah.
But there comes a time where you have to take that responsibility, like you said, and actually recognize that you're doing it and realize that it's not going to get you anywhere. It's just going to make things worse. And I 100% agree. I don't go to the doctor. I don't envisage having to go again, because I just, it's the first thing they do is say, you're over 50. Why aren't you on statins? Why are you filling your body with horrible chemicals that it's like detergent, and a large percentage of us is cholesterol. Most of our brain is cholesterol. Every cell wall is made of cholesterol. Why would you attack that? And it's just so sad. It just drives me crazy.
Yeah.
So frustrating.
I think, Billy, the other thing too with your question, just around healing, is like sound is one component, right? But the thing that we work with a lot really is the first step in any form of healing or transformation is awareness, right? What is the body feeding back to me? What is it telling me? What are your symptoms? What's it saying? What is it asking me to do? Because everything has that underlying metaphysical or emotional element to it. And burning it off, cutting it out, radiating it is not going to deal with any of that. So I think the first thing is like having that awareness, right? And then from having that awareness, then it's a matter of choosing wisely, but intention is a huge part of it. Like we work with a lot with intention, and sound with intention is very powerful. It's good for healing, but it's also good for creativity. It's also good for revealing, right? So it has all of these other different components to it, but people like to think about healing because there's a lot of people who are struggling, who are sick. So, the first step is go and find somebody who can tell you what your body's trying to tell you. If you can't work that out or find the book for yourself, go and find somebody, or whether it's a kinesiologist or somebody who like a naturopath or whatever it might be. But then the sound aspect of it, I think sound is something that people should use every day. If you really want to maintain like a deep meditation practice, like really, really work on your anxiety levels, your, like smoothing your emotions, really relaxing your body, like sound as a daily practice will change your life. Like if we have a day where we don't get to meditate and we pretty much meditate with sound every day, um, we'll know it and it'll be like, did you meditate today? And it's like, no. You can really tell the difference. Like just emotionally, you're more kind of like out of whack, So that's something for us, which we're really passionate about bringing to people, is that like sound is just not, it's not something you do once a month or once a quarter at a sound bath or a breathwork thing. Like we're championing an idea at the moment to have classes in yoga studios and wellness centers every week. Like that's a start. Once a week is a step in the right direction, like as opposed to once every couple of months or whatever, however people normally relate to working with sound. But daily really is ideal. You will find that your overall health, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health will shift in ways that you can't imagine, even in a short period of time. If you throw intention to that mix, then it goes next level.
Can I just add, only because it's really grinding on me, just one thing that I know that you said, but you just to clarify, if you don't know what's going on with your body, it's not so we're advocates for not going to somebody else as a guru and saying, heal me and tell me what's wrong. And that's not what he meant. I just want to clarify that. It's more going somewhere that you feel safe for them to hold space for you to navigate, to feel safe enough to feel and receive the divine guidance of what's going on. Because nobody, I believe, nobody knows you and your body more than you do. But the great people out there that can hold space for you to be able to remember and awaken that gift, which we all innately have, that's where we recommend that you go. Not necessarily going to someone to
Yeah.
tell you what's going on. I just had to clear that up. It was grinding on me.
Yeah, absolutely. Because no one
Yeah.
can heal you. You can only heal yourself.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
So much
Yeah,
more
that's
empowering,
good.
right?
Yeah. I use sound healing like every night before I go to bed. And I'm planning to do my own, make my own and put my own intention into my music. So then I know it's coming from me and I'm not coming, it's hasn't got someone else's intention that I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I've noticed that I've felt shifts in my body, like where I've had lots of inflammation in my body and I've felt it shift while I'm listening to the music. And it's amazing. Like I
Yeah.
never thought that would happen, 5 years ago. I wouldn't have ever, I'd be like, no, listen to music. No, it's just for enjoyment, not for healing.
Yeah.
So
100%.
and that's so glad that you guys have explained it in that way because it helps people understand how important it is. It's not just, music or sound, there's so much more to it.
And
And
we can create our own sound healing too, because we can sing. We've got a voice box. We can hum. That is powerful. I've heard you sing on stage, Elise, and oh my God, it's beautiful. So I know for my healing, because obviously I've had an interesting life, the actual singing aspect for the last year and a half, because I've been learning to sing, has shifted so much. It's so, especially if you've had any kind of oppression, and everybody's had trauma. For God, the last 5 years, everybody's had trauma. Now, the worldwide, we've had trauma, whether we're in a first world country, a third world country, it doesn't matter. The trauma's there. And that releases the frustrations. And if you can hear something coming out of you that sounds beautiful, it's just so incredibly uplifting. So how long have you been singing for?
Well, I love that you shared that. I think I still have an aversion to the word singing, only because there's had so much like what's it called? Like connotation to it for me growing up.
Okay.
So my and that's just me by the way. But yeah, so my background definitely was not creative, definitely was not musical. It was very sporty, very masculine, very guarded. So, and not feeling. But yeah, so for the singing part of it and the voice activation, that really started in 2020, I think, and it really has been parallel for me alongside the healing journey for me. So, as a child, I was sexually abused by a family member, and that surfaced strongly when Tim and I came together, which was a big block and made so much sense in my life. But my voice and the healing components of that and the channeling of the sound that comes through has really been parallel with me speaking up about the abuse, because it's been very intergenerational for 9 generations, so
Oh,
nine.
grief.
So I have seen that in many different ways, that nobody was able to stand up and say, I know it was you, and now I'm putting in play boundaries to protect my children. And so I've seen that was that I signed up and I said, I will break the cycle. And we have broken that cycle, which is incredible, and it just fills me with so much purpose. Um, yeah, it makes me emotional. But so yeah, my voice opened up in parallel with that, and it really just coincides so much with trusting myself, with backing myself, with standing up to family members and putting in boundaries against all of the rejection, all of the shaming, all of the scapegoating, and just knowing how much it was important. And I feel it's important to share that we tried for over a year to conceive Isabel, our first little starseed, and she was guiding us all the way through in a breathwork and sound healing journey in 2016. So that was before we'd even met. I saw a vision of a man with a baby girl in a bunny suit and mountains in the background. And I mean, I don't know if we can share it later, but it's on our Instagram, if you scroll a little bit. I drew that vision in 2016, and then in 2021, Isabel was born. And without purposely doing it, I have a photo of Tim holding Isabel in a bunny suit with the blue mountains in the background. It's just wild.
Wow.
So she's been with us, been with me for so long. I knew I was always having a baby girl first. And so we tried for over a year, and she was guiding us, telling us what had to be done for her to agree to accept the soul contract to come in.
Yeah.
And a big part of that was someone I had to break that cycle to make sure that this family member, otherwise he could have been minding her.
Yeah.
So when I sat in front of him and I said to him, I faced him and I said, I know it was you. I fell pregnant in 2 weeks.
Oh,
With,
that's incredible. That is just so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing.
yeah, and so thank you for hearing it. And I really just want to place that as well as another big passion of mine is supporting people to use their voice. Because I was shut down, I was fear driven, and because of the fear of what was going to happen if I spoke up. So as I did that, my voice has now, I've allowed myself to really get better at getting out of the way. And when we both do sound and we both use our voice, we actually just let the sound come through that wants to come through for healing. And to be honest with you, sometimes that is not beautiful. But it's really about trusting that that's the frequency that needs to get into those maybe darker places.
Yeah.
And so Tim's been a huge activation for me of using my voice both ways. And he's been naturally musically gifted with his voice, so that's been inspiring. But I want everyone to know that you have a voice, and as Rachel said, your voice is the most powerful thing. It's something that nobody else has. And the more that we use it in any way and get rid of the shame, get rid of the fear by not just snapping our fingers, but doing the work, you really start to open up to these incredible frequencies. So yeah, it's been a huge journey, and I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah.
Well, it's another figure of eight as well, right? Because when your head and your heart align, and the center of that is your throat chakra, and that activates. So when the head and heart come online, your throat chakra activates, and you're going to want to use your voice, right? Because all there is expression of the divine. Now, it might be speaking, could be negotiating, could be creating new systems. It might be chanting, singing, toning, doesn't matter. What your divine purpose is your voice and throat chakra is a huge part of it.
Oh,
And so it's still these beautiful kind of like, symbols and numbers, and it's all connected, and voice activation is huge.
oh,
It's
so
really
is
huge.
I have a beautiful friend who was my singing teacher. She's still my singing teacher. We've become very close friends. Charlotte Robinson. She has You Can Sing, and she's explained to me that when you sing or hum, all these different endorphins are released. The autonomic, I think she calls it the autonomic nervous system, is calmed. The vagus nerve is calmed. A lot of people who've gone through childhood trauma, especially if it's sexual, the vagus nerve's just all over the place. And so that it's so calming. So there's all these physiological reasons why it makes you feel amazing. And what does almost every ancient culture on earth do? They
Yeah.
get together in community and they make sound together.
Yeah.
And so this is why with Lay Love Down, we try so hard to get people out into the ley lines. I mean, you can do it from anywhere. You can do it with your intent. We do, guided meditations, and you can do it from home, because we also want to include those people who can't get out in nature for whatever reason. It might be snowing where they live, or they might not be physically able to get out there. And when you go out and do singing in symbiosis with nature, especially in endemic sort of scrub areas and stuff like that, that marriage of the frequency of the surrounding area and your voice is so powerful. And for people who aren't comfortable with singing, you can do other things. You can take a crystal bowl, you can take a tuning fork, you can take out something that's already pre-recorded, and just with your intent of knowing that you're sharing that with that space because you think it's beneficial and you hope it's beneficial for the ley lines and for everything else, the water, everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing. I really can't express enough how much I believe sound healing and homeopathy are the new healing frequencies that people are going to be availing themselves of. It's not going to be popping a pill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly not these friggin' things.
Physics is the answer, not chemistry. And we're going right back to where we began.
Yeah,
There's obviously nature and the gifts of nature in the form of plants and flowers and all the beautiful things that has a chemistry element to it. But it's natural. It's not manipulated in a lab or anything like that. And yeah, I love what you were saying. I think why did they call them the song lines? Why were they called the song lines? Why did they sing their stories through their ancestors? Why? Like, because I think everything is vibrational, and I guess, you think about the wisdom that comes through. It makes so much sense. It makes so much sense because there's an embodiment with sound as well. And it's so emotive, but it carries so many more layers to it than just noise from your voice box.
yeah. Well, I think,
Got any other curly questions, Billy?
yeah, yeah. Do you have any questions, or should we open
I
up?
was just gonna, yeah, I'm always the deep questions for
We
me.
love it. We love
Uh, with your voice activation, do you do that online? Because I'm actually interested. Because I'd
it.
love to be able to. I have a lot of restriction in my voice, and I know that my voice shouldn't be this low. So I'm like really wanting to activate it and be able to sing. And yeah, so do you do that online or is that
The
in
short
person?
answer right now is no, we don't. We do it in person. But you can actually start it yourself, right? Because and then be led. Allow spirit to lead you to the person who is right for you, right? To open these doorways, right? And I think that's something that we're really conscious of, is like, let the medicine find you. Let the people, the guides and the mentors find you. Like, if you open to it and have that intention to work into that space, then you will find that something will be drawn to you. But right now, one of the biggest things that you can start to do is just create a relationship with your voice and see what it can do, right? And that might be humming over like music that you really like, and then just hum. Like, humming is so simple and it's so like safe. And then go from a hum just to open your mouth and see how the sound changes, and see how it opens up. And then like put a little bit more behind what you're doing, and test your range. What can your voice do? Does it like lower notes? Does it like high notes? I heard a beautiful saying once, and I've never forgotten it. And that is, if you can walk, you can dance. And if you can talk, you can sing.
Yep, love it.
So just play, just
Perfect.
dance a little bit.
I think the other, I just wanted to add a different component of it.
No.
Sorry, our 4-year-old.
Oh, she's made her presence known.
She's here. Yep, she's making me run for. Just when you ask Billy, I feel another starting point as well in a different, like as the parallel, what I was talking about, is along the inner child healing line, because I think that for me is a big belief of the first 0 to 7 years is really where these programs, like if we're a computer, these programs are installed. And so, people often ask, well, what's the point in going back there? I don't want to go back there. But the point is, like, if that program's been installed around your voice, around speaking up, around all of different layers, then we need to really go back to that computer and we need to, rewrite it. We need to reprogram. Otherwise, it's just going to keep running in the subconscious and creating a reality. So, in that response, I 100% do inner child healing online. There's a full course. And because everything we do is actually sound-based, intention-based, meditation-based, breathwork-based, all of that is on there as live recordings. So there's a lot of processes and practices throughout it's a 12-week course that it guides you through. And there's options to do it self-run completely. I've noticed I haven't had anyone do it self-run, to be fully transparent with you. I've had people do it in a group or they do it one-on-one, because you get so much more from it when you get that support and feedback and the weekly sessions. But yeah, like that's definitely something that I feel is so parallel, and that can be for anything, but in terms of the voice activation, I felt that was just worth sharing, maybe even exploring something like that.
Yeah, I'll make sure that
Awesome.
we've got
Thank
the
you.
to your Insta, your Facebook, your YouTube, your website, and to that course specifically, and the book
Yeah, cool.
when we share this out. So I just want to spruik for the next knowledge transfer session that's coming up, because that's with Campbell and Kelly from Tartaria Australia. So they've got this amazing magazine out. I've got my physical copy. It's wonderful. And so this is for anybody who questions the narrative. If you've seen great big cathedrals and wondered, how did they build that when they only had a horse and buggy? That doesn't make sense. And what's with the copper on the spires? And what is free energy? And all the other questions that you might have. It's a community-based newspaper. They told me about it, and then they invited me to put in a submission. So they're so sweet. They did a 2-page for me for my course, which is just amazing. So that's the other thing. They will advertise for you, and they ask for a very small amount of money. Like some of the like, obviously I didn't even subscribe, and they put me in there. So those guys are amazing. They're going to come on and talk to us about the mud flood and all of these incredible things about Tartaria in November. So I think it's the 13th. So I just wanted to speak for that for next month as well. But I also want to open up, if you guys are okay for us to ask, if anybody wants to ask any questions while we've got you. We won't keep you for too much longer. Does anybody have any questions? Or Billy, do you have any further questions? Because your questions are always really good.
Oh,
Well,
yes.
I'd
What
love
about
to.
with... Oh, yeah.
Oh,
You go. Sorry.
Deb.
Awesome.
I'll go after you, Deb.
All right.
It was also at the Cosmic
Well,
Consciousness Conference.
Yeah.
yes. And I'm one of Tim and Elise's students, along with Tennille,
The
and I can't
practitioner.
speak into it highly enough. It's like I've done a lot of personal growth workshops, and this is like, one up there. But what you were saying, Billy, about your voice is I have a low voice as well. I'm postmenopausal, and it's normal for me. And alongside working with Tim and Elise has been like profound. I've grown so much. The bowls really talk to me, and my voice, I would say I've always sang. I've always sang. I was my mum, Elvis, Cliff Richard, the whole works, my whole life. But I actually found a teacher to help me activate my voice. And she was also, you call them a sexologist, whatever they are, and the connection between organs and how it works. And she has supported me so much, and it shifted my work with Tim and Elise to another level using my voice. And now I'm channeling. It's like she told me, get out of the way. Just get out of your own way. And when you have a low voice, She used to be a classical singer. And when you have a low voice, you actually should start with a low note to get you high. And that's been a real gift for me. So I start low to go high. And last night I did a women's circle and I sang, and this voice came through and it was like, oh, who's that? That doesn't sound like me, you know, but I just went with it. And I was reaching notes like I've never been up there before. So it is the music and the sound is pure magic. And I'm so grateful for Tim and Elise. And I've known them since 2020 at Uluru. And so we've traveled a little while as well. And so I can't speak highly enough of the work. Do it. So thanks, Rachel, as well. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Thank you, Deb. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
I'll do my question then if anyone else has questions. But what about with animals like your pets? Do you do that? Because I try it with my dog and he doesn't like any high frequency things. I've got like tuning forks and he's out the room.
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. We personally don't have any pets, so I can't comment on that part of it. But when we were in the Blue Mountains, whenever we would play the crystal bowls, we would have so many birds show up on the balcony. So it's like these animals were just drawn to the frequency. I do believe that children and animals have less of that protective armor, less of that monkey mind going on, so they actually can receive the benefits quicker without as much filter, animals particularly, and then obviously, oh sorry, obviously children. But we actually have had clients. So we had a lady come and do a crystal ball workshop and buy a set of bowls because she was opening up a dingo sanctuary. And so she would go and rescue dingoes and she would play the bowls. She bought them specifically to play them for the dingoes, for the healing. So we've heard different feedback. Like some people will say they like one client, she'll always send us videos of her cats. The minute she picks up the bowl and strikes it, her cats are like trying to get in the bowl, you know? And then we've had people that say like what you just said, Billy, where they're just like, my animal just runs. So I guess they're probably a bit like humans, you know? Some humans are like, no, I don't like that frequency. And I don't know if you can talk to your animals, but I feel like there'll be something, you know, for humans. If there's a particular frequency or sound or note, we will often open up a conversation around that. Getting them to explain it, you know, like why don't you like that? And if the human or your animal talks to you telepathically, then, you know, if they can explain what it is, it might be, you know, oh, it's really loud and it's really annoying. And we often will support gently to say, all right, one, what was your intention? How could this be related to your intention? And two, is there anything in your life that you feel is like really loud and annoying? Because the crystal bowls and sound healing bring truth to the surface. So, on a human level, that's how I can relay it to the best of my knowledge, that when you open up those conversations, it's like then people start to hear the sounds and frequencies different if they're able to acknowledge what the sound and the frequency is trying to show them.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I've been just singing to him, and I feel that's healing for both of us.
Yeah.
Because anything, and even like the hand drum, piano he likes, but yeah. So I think that like you said, if you have the right intention and you're like communicating with them, I think that's important.
Yeah, and you never know with an animal, have they had any past life trauma or trauma in this lifetime where there was a sound that it might bring up for them some of that trauma as well, like you were saying, Elise, you know, what's that bringing up for them? And animals like horses, dogs have really acute hearing and they don't like the really high frequencies, which is another thing as well. So hand it to the animal, I suppose, if you want to communicate with an animal and use a sound frequency, make sure it's a frequency that they're going to like. I'm sure someone's got a chart out there for what horses like and dogs like and cats like. But I love that about the cats getting in the bowl. If I'm reading for somebody and there's a cat in the house, it'll come in the room. 100%. And usually we'll be right there between the client and wanting to get attention. It's so funny. Just about every time. I love it. And pay attention to cats too, where they sleep will almost always be the most negative frequency ley line in the house or in the garden, because they purr to bring the frequency to a balanced energy. They're constantly working. They're amazing. It's just beautiful. If anybody else has any questions, if you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll have a reactions bar, and there's actually somewhere where you can put your hand up, or you could just put your hand up on screen. No, Rick's shaking his head, doesn't want to ask a question. Oh, yes. So, okay, anybody? Love to share, Deb. Okay. Well, obviously, so the Come Together collective event, have we spoken about that already?
We haven't. No, we haven't done that. We can talk to that. I'm happy to talk to that. That's again kind of sitting with this in the energy of what is a new earth template? What does this even mean? It's an inquiry. For me, it's like a constant inquiry that spirit's inviting me to come to within myself. So Come Together came through as a concept in meditation last year. And it showed me that as practitioners and facilitators, we constantly get out there. We're facilitating, we're giving, we're sharing, but then we kind of very easily lose touch with filling our own cup and going receiving. So Come Together was a group that I birthed with a group of other facilitators on the Northern Beaches in Sydney, and it was for practitioners, your teachers, and facilitators only. So it was a safe container for us to come in community and to create a collective that was really about filling each other's cups. So we actually started at a venue there called the One Space Collective, which is kind of perfect with that kind of collective feel to it. And it's just been going for a year now, and it's just grown into this beautiful container that is just so special. When you go there and facilitate, and you might have 8 to 10 practitioners in the room, the depth that you can go to in your expression and your creativity, and really no holds, like all those crazy ideas that you've wanted to try, but you can't kind of, just put it on the general public. You can do it in this container with each other, and like the depth and the openness that people will go to because we're space holders. And so we're holding space for each other, but we're really kind of going to new depths. So it's done. It's created this community. It's very simple. It's a cash community. It's a $30 cash for a 2-hour event. The money goes to the venue and the facilitators. There's no other membership. There's no convoluted anything. It's pure, it's beautiful, and it's created networking opportunities, collaborations, friendships. The venues now attracted all these new facilitators and practitioners doing things there. It's spread beyond that. We're doing one-on-one healing sessions with each other, and it's just grown into this incredible collective, which is exactly what Spirit showed me was possible. And so we got up and left. We're now on the Sunshine Coast, and we're looking at what's happening down there going, we wish we were there. And I was talking to a venue this week up here, and just explaining that to her, and she said, "Why don't we do it here?"
Oh, cool.
And I had no concept until I saw her again yesterday that the venue here is called the Mooloolaba Wellness Collective.
Wow, absolutely beautiful.
And so Come Together 2.0 is happening here. But so what does, what communities do we have? How can we kind of create these containers where we can all come and everybody's being uplifted by their role and their participation, even though there's a lot of volunteering stuff happening in there, but the heart-centered healing and feeling and reflection and sharing is incredible. So where else can we do this in the world?
Yeah, that's the thing. You can, these things can spring up anywhere. And that's all you need is somebody to sow the seed, which is what you're doing.
Start a conversation.
So I guess we'll probably wrap up. It's always nice to keep this reasonably short. So you're on Insta, you're on Facebook, you're on YouTube, you've got your website, you've got your inner child healing course. Can you send me the links to all of those? Because I'd like to get this out tonight. So if you could just send that off to me if that's possible. Because I want to have all those links in there available. And also I've already got the link to the book, which is brilliant. Okay. brilliant. Thank you everybody for being here. Unless there's any other questions, does anybody else want to ask anything else?
Yeah, thank you for showing up, and thank you for being here. We're so grateful. And the one thing that we're constantly reminded of in this work is that the numbers game for source is very different numbers game than what we try and create as human beings. And exactly the right people are here tonight.
Yeah.
And we just want to honor that. So thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here, whatever your part is and whatever your transmission is, and take that out and use your voice.
Beautifully elocuted. And I'll also have the link to the Cosmic Consciousness Conference as well, because these guys are going to be there. I'm going to be there. Dale's going to be there. It's going to be amazing. So, and Deb will be there, I'm pretty sure, because she does the facilitating. So she's amazing. You get to see Deb as well.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Rachel.
you.
Thank you, Billy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I'll see you in December.
Bye.
Is that
Yeah.
supposed to be-
See you. Bye.